But I think a lot of times, especially in healthcare, we hide, right? Our job is to take care of people. Our job is not to go and build these huge empires. And when you're in the entrepreneur space and when you're in the healthcare space and when you're actually having a business, I want you to think bigger. Welcome to CEO Conversations, the private practice podcast. I'm your host, Brandy Mabra. This is your one-stop shop to learn the business side of your practice on a deeper level. On this show, we empower you to own your CEO status to scale your practice for growth, sustainability, and profit. Listen in as we talk about how to market your practice to gain more visibility, hire, build, and engage your ride or die dream team, create streamlined operations, and make financial decisions as a CEO. It's time to show up as a confident leader to create a practice and life you love. Let's get started. So, welcome back to another episode of CEO Conversations, the private practice podcast. It's Brandy here, and today we're diving into part 2 of creative business models that you can implement in your practice. So today we're diving into the group model and the joint venture model. So this has been really fun. I hope that you went back and was able to get some gems from part 1. If you have not listened to part 1, make sure that you go back and listen to the two types of membership models that you can implement inside of your practice. So there was a lot that we dug into in that episode. So for today, let's start off with opportunities to scale. Now, this whole part 1, part 2 series was inspired by Amazon, and Amazon has definitely stepped up their game when it comes to the membership model, when it comes to the scaling with multiple locations model, when it comes to even the community-based model. Like, so many things are happening in Amazon that I was able to pull out. And so I thought that it would be great for us to dive into some opportunities to scale inside of your practice. It's not always hire another provider. I think that's what I see the most is let's hire another provider. Let's move it to another location. There are other things that you can do in order to bring more revenue in the door with the existing resources that you have. The main thing with scaling is how can you do it profitably, right? And so the true definition of scaling is how can I add more to the practice, more money to the practice without overextending the practice or actually losing the profitability. Many people scale and they lose the profitability because they don't hire correctly, or they're scaling in a way that they're not ready for, or they're moving into a new location when the first location or the second location isn't even fit to sustain a third location, like the business isn't. So it's important for us to recognize, like, where are we at in our stage of business first, and then also diving into how do we want to scale. One of my favorite ways, actually, when we're not trying to spend more money on payroll or go out and hire, or if it's something that we can do today to enhance revenue, and some of the things that I actually do with my clients is how can we implement a one-to-many? I love one-to-many. The one-to-many is where you can take an existing model and bring it to the masses, right? So the common ways that you'll see this, I will say in the mental health space, is through group therapy. So if you have multiple group programs, if you're listening to this, or multiple group support, like group therapy sessions that you're doing, then that is a really great way to scale. It's a nice way for you to set yourself up when it comes to the one-to-many. Also, if you have a wait list, you can get people in off of that wait list to be part of a group. Usually groups are centered around one special core, either diagnosis or some type of core problem where you're diving into that problem through a group. On the medical side, I'll say, because some folks are like, well, I can't do group. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can actually do a group as a group visit. So a group visit is where there is that centered diagnosis where everybody's coming in and they're focused on, for example, high blood pressure. So high blood pressure could be a group visit. Now, one of the things I will say that you need to check out, especially if you want insurance to pay for this, is not every payer will pay for a group visit. However, it is an opportunity for you to bring in some additional cash and or self-pay into the practice where you don't have to always use insurance. If people have HSAs or FSAs, I know I say that a lot, then they can always pay for that service through that. but it's a nice way for you to think about how can we maybe provide a deeper experience, an enhanced experience, because some people are lonely for like what they're going through, right? So this is why a lot of big diagnoses have groups that are built in them, like group support systems. Cancer, because a lot of people don't understand what I'm going through. Diabetes, a lot of people don't understand what I'm going through in order to make sure that I'm able to eat correctly and that I can actually do all the things that I need to do to keep my body well, but I have to pass up on cookies sometimes. That's hard, right? The other thing, especially in the mental health piece, if there's a lot of things, stress and grief and frustration and all anxiety, like all of those things, having other people around who get it is very helpful. So when we're talking about group visits, there's a physician that I work with, and so she has a specific group visit that she does every single month where she brings in twelve people come in specifically to talk about one type of diagnosis, and it's something that in some insurances pay for it, some insurances don't pay for it, but it's helped her to build community within her practice. They make it really great and fun where they have lunch, as part of this visit. And then in addition to that, everyone's getting their blood pressures taken, everybody's getting their vitals done, and everybody's doing all the medical things that have to be done in order for this to count as a group visit. And this happens every single month. So have fun with this. That's what I really love about the one to many. So again, 12 people. So that's 12, it's 12 visits happening at one time in 1 hour and compared to 12 visits that are spread out throughout the day. So the one to many model is you can definitely implement in your practice starting today, but communicate it whether if it's going to be a self-pay or if insurance will pay for it. So that's the one to many model. The second model is joint ventures. So one of the things that going back to Amazon that they did was they partnered with hospital systems. And even in my experience, we've looked at joint ventures like what is the complementary business or healthcare business that we can partner with to provide a service or to gain their resources to help us without using our dollars in order to enhance the practice, make more money, be able to maybe bridge the gap into another industry. Like all of those things are happening every single day. We see a combination of it between tech and healthcare. I think that's probably the biggest thing right now, where tech companies are diving into the healthcare space by either providing a software or even providing a certain like EHR system. I'm thinking about BetterHelp is a really big one. Even with some of the things that insurance companies are doing with insurance companies where they'll go and actually buy practices and offer healthcare inside of the insurance company, like, those are all joint ventures. Those are examples of joint ventures where one industry is bridging the gap with another industry, and now you're able to provide a single service that actually both people can win from, both companies can win from. In addition to that, you can actually sell it, so that's, like, the biggest thing when it comes to joint ventures. So, the example that's coming up for me is I was actually working with a private equity practice that was just purchased, and we were partnering with a hospital system in order to, go move into a bigger location, not where they were purchasing us because there's a big difference. Like, it's not an acquisition or a merger. A joint venture means that you're coming together, you're truly coming together in order to help a certain type of population. So, with this particular example, we were partnering with a healthcare system that was going to be able to provide us a location, a bigger location, be able to bring in some of their team members in partnering with our team members in order to take care of patients from lab visits, from just medical visits, from behavioral health visits, from nutrition visits, like all these different things. And it was a joint venture because it wasn't where the hospital system was acquiring us. We were just partnering with them in order to get their resources without using our resources. And then we were both benefiting. On the backside of that, when we're thinking about, well, once payments comes in, then there's always a contract in place for who gets what. So the hospital system was going to get a certain percentage of the revenue that was coming in, and then we were going to get a certain percentage of the revenue that was coming in, right? So at the end of the day, it's a nice way, especially if you're partnering with somebody who has more resources than you do, in order for you to bring some dollars in the door. So that is a more of a long term. I would say joint venture is definitely more of a long term because sometimes there can be negotiations that you have to go through. There are definitely like conversations that have to be had, meetings, and sometimes it can take weeks and months and sometimes years for joint ventures to come together. But if it's lucrative and you're able to make an impact and it's a win-win for everybody, then it's definitely something that you can dive into. I would say probably the biggest thing that I'm probably going to hear is like, well, how do I even start that? How do I even get a conversation going? Well, is there anybody in your community that you would want to partner with? Whether if it's another complimentary service or if it's like even using the tech, like if there's maybe like some folks now are like developing apps and all kinds of things. So if there's some type of complimentary service that would enhance the care that you can provide to your patients, then that might be a good conversation. But a lot of it is just networking. So if you are networking, if you are putting yourself in different spaces to have bigger conversations with folks, if you're brave enough and maybe go on LinkedIn and you see an owner of a certain business and you're like, wow, this would be a really great partner for me. And just reaching out to that person and trying to get a conversation going, even though it's a cold reach out. You don't have to say what you want on the other side of that or what you're anticipating, but you can definitely say, hey, I love what you're doing and what you're bringing to the table. And I think that there's an opportunity for us to maybe partner on something. Would you be open to having coffee with me? And so you can keep it very simple, very, very basic. And then you can decide how to take the relationship from there. But I think a lot of times, especially in healthcare, we hide, right? Our job is to take care of people. Our job is not to go and build these huge empires. And when you're in the entrepreneur space and when you're in the healthcare space and when you're actually having a business, I want you to think bigger. And I think about some of the companies that have gotten bigger, like even with Amazon or like BetterHelp or just some of the startup companies, healthcare companies that are coming to light. They've all been founded by people who know nothing about healthcare, who haven't done anything in healthcare, who just have the audacity to say, "You know what? I'm going to start a business today." Or, "You know what? I think that there's some opportunity in healthcare to do something bigger and then to honestly to profit from it." I mean, that's what they're doing. They're profiting from it. And so I think when we come from a place of being so heart-centered and thinking like, well, we don't want to profit off of it, we do leave dollars on the table and we do kind of stunt our growth and we don't allow for ourselves to think outside of the box for what could be bigger. The other thing that I see is even in social media is that there's usually a couple of different industries that people go to or gravitate to. And I think that you're selling yourself short. Is there a bigger thing that you could invest in? Is there a bigger partner you could put yourself with in order to, again, if you have big goals, big dreams, if you want a big empire, then I think that you're selling yourself short by just limiting what you could potentially do. So that's our episode for today. I hope that there were some gems that you were able to get from this. It's just some things to think about when it comes to your business models. And so if you're in a place where like, I need some help, I probably need to be pushed to think outside the box, or I'm getting stuck in the social media scroll and I'm thinking I want this, but I'm not too sure that I want what I'm seeing, then I would love for you to go ahead and apply to Private Practice CEO. Private Practice CEO is an amazing program where we work with you to empower your leadership, make sure that you're set up for success with hiring, firing, money, operations, business models, like all of that. And we do that through a very unique way. So we do retreats and one-on-one and group coaching and consulting and all of the great things that actually lead to a transformation. So if you're in a place where you're tired of being alone, or if you're in a place where you know that you probably could use some help with the business side of your practice, then I would love for you to go ahead and apply today. All right, so I will see you guys next week, and I hope that you're having a wonderful day. Bye. Thanks for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the episode and it empowers you as the CEO of your practice. If you enjoyed the podcast, please make sure you subscribe, share the message, and leave a review. If you want more information and support in growing and scaling your practice, click the link in the show notes to take advantage of our free resources or apply to work with me directly. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.